Say again, last count, we were past 15 funeral directors, and never have I seen such a turnout for an occasion like this. So my prayers would be that you will find it enlightening and maybe be inclined to explore these same topics further. Final note is that obviously it's being recorded. I've got requests from as far as San Salvador from funeral directors who would like to be able to watch this. So we're going to share it with the whole funeral directing community. But the fact that it's being recorded, there may be some people who just don't want to be seen on tape. Now, we can understand that, but we're asking that if you have some aversion to your image possibly being included in the recording, that you sit on the wings, the farthest wings of the room. And that way we will not disturb those who are that sensitive. So without any further ado, I'd like to bring in our speaker. Testing. Okay.
What did he set me up for? No miracles I can achieve. How you guys doing? How many was here last time? Okay, good. And they are aware that I'm not going to show the funeral directors how to make $1 million. In fact, I talked with Monica briefly, and maybe Ray, what we will do is offer a workshop specifically designed for funeral directors.
Excellent.
And we'll talk about the factor of baby boomers and how that's going to impact the services, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yes.
And so hopefully if you just bear with me today, we'll make it worth your while. And the next workshop for funeral directors. Would that be okay?
That's fine, absolutely.
In the meantime, however, I'm hoping that you will still be benefit today, since the subject that we're discussing pertains to you personally, beyond your profession. Doesn't matter what profession you're in, you will still personally be challenged with the tasks of managing and coping with death, dying, and loss. So hopefully you will bear with me and find that useful as well. Oh, the microphone.
Yes.
Oh man, this is way beyond my professional ability. You can't hear me? I feel like a preacher. I might have to take up a collection. All right, so everybody have handouts? Okay, good. And how many have not had a chance to familiarize themselves with part one?
Can I go up and turn the
Can I
volume
show
up?
Yeah. All right, I think that's posted somewhere. You can see the facilitators, and they can direct you to the website. But for the sake of a brief summary, those of you who were here the first time, if there are some things that you want to revisit briefly, we can certainly take a minute or two to do that. So, anybody have any questions that carried over from our first part of this workshop, where I asked you all to really consider some real profound things? And I see many of my House of Rock friends here, and you all know firsthand that this is not a new topic for me. In fact, we did a whole series of these kinds of talks back in 1997. So those of you who are in the House of Rock, you certainly have had many, many years to assess yourself and discern your ability to manage and cope with death, dying, and loss. Okay? But in any case, if there's anything anyone wants to ask or any comments one wish to make, you're most welcome. We have a few minutes here, and then we'll plunge into this topic. And if you have questions as we go along, feel free to stop me, and I'll do my best to address it within the time frame that we have available for that kind of tangential discussion. First and foremost, I want to warn you, I'm not an expert on death and dying. That's these guys in the funeral director, you see. So all I ask of you is that you at least consider my arguments. There may be things that I will say that won't resonate with you. You may even disagree with them, and that's all right. I'm not offended by it at all. See, all I ask is that you consider the arguments. And in fact, there's not much to consider relative to your death and dying, because that's for sure. There's no doubt about that. There's no disagreement about that. Everyone in this room is going to die. Or you're going to have to deal with a loved one that's going to die. So that's the fundamental truth. And everything else we can debate surrounding that. Fair enough, guys? Okay. Wow. Where did we leave off? I think we were going into the therapeutic stages of reconciliation and recovery from the event of a loss, death, dying, or something like that. All right, so we finished up the psychodynamics and stages of grief and bereavement and all of that. And I really, really, really feel that I'm cheating those who wasn't here for the first part, because there's so much that we covered that is essential to be able to really kind of follow along with part 2 of our discussion. So bear with me, and again, I encourage you, if you have questions, if you're not familiar with our natural response to loss in the form of denial and shock and then anger and then into negotiation and so forth and so on, into a kind of pseudo-surrender, and then finally you're able to emerge into acceptance. So we're looking at the therapeutic stages of reconciliation, because we're talking about now, how do we recover from loss? Since all of us have had or will have the experience of some kind of loss. And I'm including these many losses that occur on a day-to-day basis. Loss of job, loss of relationship, et cetera, et cetera. What are some of the stages by which we are able to reconcile with loss and to recover from it? Because, do I have any therapists in the room? That's one brave soul. Any social workers? Any people that are on a spiritual path, meditators, practitioners, that kind of thing? Okay, good. Pay attention. All right, very good. So how did we recover from a loss? It's not a rhetorical question. Give me some input here. I'm here to learn with you as well. So how did you recover from a loss? Anybody had a loss? Anybody had a loss in here? Because this is not a theoretical discussion. This is not philosophy here, okay? Loss is inevitable. That's a part of human existence. That's life, okay? You're losing some every day. Even at the biological level, your cells are dying. Soon your teeth will be falling out and your hair will be gray and so forth and so on. So you're having a loss. How do you recover from loss? And especially those of you in the funeral industry, because one of the things that you are challenged to do is to do more than sell a coffin. You see? That's serving the dead person. How do you serve that family who has experienced a loss? So, I'm open for discussion. Give me some ideas here. How do you recover from loss? How do you reconcile that?
You take it one day at a time.
You take it one day at a time, okay? All right, so you have to come out of denial, right? That's the first step in any form of recovery. You have to come out of denial, you see, and acknowledge the pain, the suffering that is associated with that loss. The problem that we have actually is that Most of us are trapped in this denial because to acknowledge your own vulnerability to the vicissitudes of life somehow offends your ego. Your image that you have of yourself, that you project into others, like you're a rock of Gibraltar and nothing affects you, that ain't true. So you hide, you see, from yourself. That's guaranteed to prevent you from recovery. Am I right about that, therapist? First step, come out of denial. Come out of denial. Okay. So that's step one. Overcoming denial of that reality of loss. When I say come out of denial, I'm implying that that first step of coming out of denial must ultimately culminate in acceptance. Is that about right?
Yes.
That's right. Because you got to come out of the denial and shock of it all. Because you didn't think your husband or wife could die suddenly, just like that. You didn't think that. You see? Somehow you are operating on a view of life where nothing bad is ever going to happen to you or anyone you love. Very naive. True? So the shock, the denial is the first challenge. But I just want to remind you, those of you who are here for the first part of the workshop, you know the rest of the work that has to follow from denial to really enter into that state where you can begin the recovery process. Who would like to help me out? Now, what are they? All at once. Huh? Yeah, the next is going to be angry. Or you're going to be angry about it. You're going to be angry about it. You see? And remember, that's true of most losses. Not just the dramatic loss of a loved one, but you lose some money, you're going to be angry about that. You're following me? Anger. Anger. Why did it happen to me? Why me? You see? You feel that something wrong has happened, fundamentally. And anger is your response to the feeling of having been wronged. You see, life did something to you, and life was not fair to you. But that's your point of view. The way reality is the way reality is. The Buddha had a very beautiful word for that. He called it tahata. Means that's the suchness of life. That's how it is. But when you're not operating in a reality that is consistent with the way things are, when something like loss or death of a loved one happens, you think something wrong has happened. So you're angry. You feel you have been wrong. Sometimes by the deceased. Sometimes you didn't get your wallet. Damn wallet fell out of my pocket, you know what I mean? So forth and so on. And again, I'm not going to exhaust this because we've done that, but just to warm your brains up again, okay? What's the next phase before we really get to that first stage of recovery?
Bargaining.
You're going to bargain. You're going to try to make a deal. On the bargain. And this pertains to your relationships. You see? You're in a relationship. You see? Finally, your wife or your husband just can't put up with no more of your shit. Pardon the French. All right? But we're grown folks. And love stops. Now she don't love you no more. Now he don't love you no more. That's the reality. Follow me? That has happened. That's a loss. That's a death. But you don't want to accept that, right? So you're going to go into all kinds of strategies, making all kinds of deals, you see, to fulfill your false belief that You know, she still loved me. But she took all your money, all the clothes, all the kids, you follow me, the cars. Her money out the bank, your money out of the bank, but somehow you still are operating to some degree out of this thing. No, she still loves you, no. She don't love you no more. No, he don't love you no more. It's over, right? But you're gonna try to find a way to get him or her back. You see, that's a rather gross example of bargaining, but you all getting the idea? And remember, you gotta identify where you are at in relationship to what you have lost. This is not purely academic. I have to keep reminding you. This is not a class on philosophy, you see. This is a class on reality, you see. And you have lost, or you will lose, you see, something. And you need to know how you handle loss, because the way you handle these little mini losses will determine how you will handle the great event of the loss of your life here. If you're in denial about little losses, you can't handle those, you're not going to handle the big ones well at all. So you want to be honest with yourself, you see. You want to be true to yourself. Okay, so what's next, scholars? What? Did what? Surrender. Yeah, did somebody say depression? That's a symptomology of the process. We covered that last time too. But yes, a kind of a surrender. Now what do we mean by surrender? Because surrender is not the same as acceptance, is it? What's the difference between the two? Yeah. You surrender in defeat. You just can't do nothing about it. Are you with me? But underneath that surrender, there's still non-acceptance. There's still rejection of reality. It's hiding underneath that. You have not surrendered. You've been defeated. You cannot do anything about it. And that stage where you're stuck at leaves you full of feelings of hopelessness, powerlessness. You see, it leaves you in a very negative state. Are you with me? So surrender is a pseudo phenomenon. You see, it is defeat due to your inability to succeed in your bargain. So acceptance, right? So what is acceptance then, somebody? What is acceptance? I can't believe this here. Y'all got all these degrees and all of this life experience. Yes, sir.
To me, acceptance is a level of peace.
It produces peace. That's a symptomology of the, when we reach this level, it definitely creates peace of mind, right? So you're right, you're right. We saw that in part one of the workshop. Yes, beloved.
Yeah, beloved, you relinquish your tendency to try to control some about the situation or circumstance.
You get in harmony with reality. The ancient African mystic called that ma'at. You see, you get in harmony, you see, with life. You see, the key to really doing life in such a way that you will have peace of mind is learning how to get in harmony with life. You see, it's a dance. So you're absolutely right. When you have achieved, that's another symptom. But what is prior to all of that? What is acceptance, qua acceptance? And specifically, how does that differ from surrender? Yes, sir.
Acceptance is when one embraces reality for what it is.
Yes, sir. Couldn't say it better. You see, not only do you embrace it, in order to embrace reality, you have to understand nothing wrong has happened here.
Just like.
That which is born will die. That which came into being will cease to exist. What has come together will come apart. That's reality. And then when you're able to embrace that, when you can embrace the truth as it is, right? That's acceptance. But the most important psychological component of acceptance is the fact that you not longer have the experience of something wrong happening. Nothing wrong has happened. You see? Nothing wrong. Very good. So that's the starting point. Okay, so now we're ready to kind of move deeper into this recovery process. Because if you have not gotten beyond all of the prior states, you're still stuck in one of those states, you're not going to recover. In fact, in clinical situation, we define such people, we label such people as suffering from prolonged grief disorder. Prolonged grief disorder. They just grieve themselves to death forever and ever and ever. You see, it's really sad. You know, you can go to a lot of mental institutions and you'll see them sitting around. It's quite tragic. They stop living, you see? And they replace living with grieving. And please make a note, grieving is not equal to living. It's grieving. You see? It prevents you from living. But you can't stop grieving because you have not accepted one of the most fundamental realities of the human condition, that there is birth and there is death. And nothing wrong is happening. Much more can be said about that. All right, so we got the first one, acceptance. You all right?
Yes, sir.
Now, every now and then a cuss word may slip from my mouth, so
It's all right.
it's for dramatic purposes. You see, I don't want to be too pedantic. So you hyper professionals don't occasionally do something. I got some people here that's straight out of Compton. And I got to make sure they understand this stuff, you know, so I don't want to get lost in pedantry and psychobabble and all of that, and miss the opportunity for you to really understand that which must be understood. So, we got acceptance, okay, so what's next? After acceptance, what happens when you really accept a thing? I'm being dialogical with you because, see, I know you know these answers deep down inside yourself. So I'm trying to bring out what you already know, rather than you put more stuff in your head. See, intuitively, you already understand this thing, but you have buried this. Are you with me? Like the ostrich that runs from the lion and puts his head in the ground and pretend that the lion is not going to eat him. We do that. You see, we bury our head as if death is not going to come and get you. It's going to come get you. You see, we're going to talk more about that because this is a very important thing, so I will be reminding you as we go throughout this discussion again and again. I'll be like a broken record. Okay? So after acceptance, when we embrace and accept that reality, no longer see that something is wrong, now what can we do as a result of that?
We can move forward.
Huh?
We can move forward.
Yeah, we can move forward. We can let go. Now we can let go of all that grieving and all of that wallowing in our sorrow and self-pity and so forth and so on. As if life has singled you out to take something that you love. Follow what I'm saying? You can now forget about yourself and let this go. Let it go. Excellent. This is sometimes, even after you got an acceptance, sometimes you will still have a little bit of this challenge of letting this go. Are you with me? So you've been married for 40 years, and your wife or your spouse dies. Now, it's very hard to let go of that relationship. You see? To let that relationship go. You gotta let that relationship go. You see? That's very hard for people. Are you with me? And those who can't do that, you see, they shut down a part of life and living. They can't move on from where they were with that person. So that takes a little bit more understanding. And remember, the secret of managing reality is really simple. What it requires is understanding. You must understand. Understanding is the key to life. Understanding is the key to everything. Understanding is the key to your business. How you do business is going to be based on your understanding. If you don't have much understanding, you're not going to be very successful. That's how that is. Understanding is simply required in every aspect of human behavior, human ambition, and so forth. You must simply understand. And you must definitely understand reality. Then you can let go. What are some of the things that keep us from letting go? I'm just curious. What are some of the obstacles? Yes, ma'am. Yeah. Oh, y'all good here. Y'all very good. Y'all very good here. Are you a therapist?
I wish.
But I mean, you hit it. Memory. Because every response you have to reality comes out of your memory. Did you notice? Notice that. You respond to reality based on memory, a prior experience. The memories, the reminiscing, keeps you stuck. And you can't let it go. You can't let it go. Anybody else? That's very good. Yes, sir.
A sub-note to
Guilt,
memory.
yeah, when you say guilt and.
A sub-note to memory may be repetition.
A big part?
Repetition.
Repetition?
Yeah.
Yeah. Obsessive.
Exactly.
Yeah. In part one, we talked about that too. So hopefully you'll get a chance to review that. But you're absolutely right. You develop an obsession. It's OCD. Mm-hmm. You can't stop. You keep revisiting. And we went into that in a little detail. Maybe we'll come back to it because that's important. And Anthony Saab, you said guilt.
Yeah, I think the sense that to move on, you're betraying a loved one.
Yeah, you feel like
So
you're
you
betraying.
feel,
Yeah,
and that's a big obstacle.
very big.
To be happy to carry on with your life is a betrayal of your spouse.
Yeah. You start feeling that it is wrong for you to be happy. That by you moving on and becoming happy, that somehow you betraying the other that you're in a relationship with. Pure nonsense. You see? Because if the other really loved you, they would want you to be happy. That's one of the qualities of love. That which you love or whom you love, you want them to be happy. That's why you're in a relationship in the first place. So the loss of loved one can make you happy. They're not even in the body no more. But if they love you while they were here, then they would certainly want to see you happy. They want to see you walking around, you know what I mean, drinking, drugging, you see, crying yourself to sleep every night, so forth and so on. They don't want to see you trapped in that prolonged grief cycle. Are you with me? That makes so much sense? All right, so anybody has anything else? This is great.
I got one other.
You got another one? You're an expert on this. Okay.
Unfortunately. I think the part of the inability to let go has to do with the discomfort zone that you've created for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You want to stay there. You
Yes.
just want to stay in that place where you don't really have to be stronger and move on. And
Mhm.
you collapse and maintain that kind of comfort zone, which is
Yeah.
really very uncomfortable.
Yeah, in fact, in part
It's
one,
safe, but it's safe.
we talked about that. Because actually a lot of grieving and the phenomenon of bereavement is a very selfish phenomenon. It is all rooted in your ego. It's all about you. It's not even about, it's a very selfish thing. You see? Are you with me? Because you want to keep this person or this thing because it made you feel good. Are you with me? That's why when there's a loss, you have this feeling of bereavement. Bereavement is a French word. It really means the feeling of having been robbed. You see? So it's a very selfish phenomenon, you see? You don't want them to die because they are a source of your comfort, psychological and emotional, you see? Because that's part of the problem when you don't understand. You become psychologically and emotionally dependent on others and other situations for the sake of being happy or fulfilled. And since that other thing or person is impermanent, they can't live forever because this is the law. Nobody lives here forever in this form. When that ends, then you have a vacuum in your life. And so you try to hold on to them physically sometimes. You know, you'll find instances, funeral director, do y'all have any experience of going on a call and you find somebody been dead that you pick up, they've been dead for 2 months in there? You know?
No.
Because they can't let them go. They can't let her go, you know? Been dead for weeks, days, you know. So sometimes they try to actually keep the body there, you see. And then, even if you come and get the body, they still got all the person's possession. They ain't giving away nothing. They got all his suits, all his shoes, all her 300 pairs of shoes, all her jewelry. You know what I mean? They can't let go even of the stuff. Are you with me? Because that stuff becomes a substitute for the person, you see. They become hoarders in many instances. Hoarders suffer from that. They can't throw nothing away. They can't let go of nothing. You see? Even items that they associate with their child. I mean, they got them. They stacked in the basement. So forth and so on. They're still trying to cling to the person. Yes, ma'am?
It's also fear.
Yeah, fear. That's true, too. Yeah, that's a big one. Because where there's no understanding, there's always fear. Make a note, right? You see, fear is the sign that you don't understand. You see, that there's a kind of ignorance operating in you. See? This ignorance, right? It's an interesting word. It means the act of ignoring something. And in this case, you're ignoring reality, right? And that ignorance now prevents you from understanding. So that's very true. Fear. We're going to get into that again, but I'm satisfied that you all have sufficient insights now into what might be stopping you from letting go. And remember, it don't even always have to be a material thing or a person. You got ideas and ambition that you can't let go of. Ambition you ain't going to never fulfill. Are you with me? It's never going to happen, you see, because there are certain kinds of goals that you are operating toward trying to fulfill, for which you are totally unqualified to reach. I know you don't like that, but that's the truth. You see, that will reach every goal requires a certain type of person in order for that goal to be reached. So now you want to make $1 billion in the next 5 years, but you want to sleep 8 hours a day. That's not going to happen. You want to spend more quality time with your family and your children. That ain't going to happen. You see? So naturally, you're going to be frustrated because you can't let go of your goal. There's beliefs you have. You can't let go of them. In fact, the reality is that you are more attached and cling more to your belief than to your material possessions and the people you're in relationship with. It's your beliefs that you cling to very tightly, because you incorporate what you believe into who and what you are. Your beliefs make up a major part of your sense of self, your identity. And you can't let them go. And then you elevate your belief to truth. Your beliefs are not equal to the truth. They're just beliefs. They change. Are you with me? We don't even examine them because we presume what I believe is the truth. You see? But you were believing you wouldn't lose anything. You were believing nobody would die. You were believing that you would retire from that job after 40 years and get a gold watch. You believe he loves you. Right? No. Just a belief. We'll get into that hopefully a little later. We're going to keep you here all day. This is such a beautiful day. But I do want to make it worth your while to the best of my ability. All right, so that's the second step, right? You have got to be able to accept to the degree that you're now able to let go. You accept, and on the basis of that profound understanding of the way life really is, you're able to let go of the past. It's the past. Can't let go of the past. That's what memory is, right? Memory is records of the past. True. Things already experienced, right? By definition. You can't let that go. And if you can't let go of the past, can you live in the present? Come on, are you kidding me? You ain't been able to pull it off? I thought at least, somebody just should have been able to pull that off. No. You live in the past. Living in the past is living in your mind. You're not in reality anymore. You become psychotic in some sense. It don't even exist no more. It has no extension in time and space at all. It is strictly in your mind. Strictly in your mind. And you are absence in the present. And that's why you feel very often so unfulfilled and dissatisfied, because you're not here in this moment. You're not present. You're absent in your own life. You're somewhere in the past. And you cannot live in the past. It does not exist. Or you're in the future. Same era. You see? Future don't exist yet. And even when it does come into existence, it will feel just like the present. Tomorrow will always come in the form of a today. So what you can't do now, you're probably not going to do. You see? So far, so good? Yes, sir. You all are doing real good here. Let's move on. We'll try to have a little more time left over for discussion. All right, so we've accepted reality as it is, you see? We have overcome our psychological and emotional dependency on the lost one, a lost thing, a lost situation, and so forth and so on. Now what do we do next? Now remember, we're talking about the process of recovering from loss. What's the next thing that we have to do? Yes, sir.
I got it. This might sound totally statistical, but I normally lose something. I try to get back what I lost.
You try to get back what you lost, right? I know. And that's something that all of us try to do. But Heraclitus said it best. You can't step in the flowing river in the same spot twice. Life is like a river. You see, we call it the Tao in Chinese philosophy. Tao. It is flowing. You see, and that's the exact illusion that keeps us stuck in the past. We keep trying to go back and get what has been gone. Now, go back and get the birthday cake you had when you were 5 years old. And then you'll understand what I'm saying, right? See? Or you try to go back and get that guy or that girl that you was in love with in high school. And you hook up with them. You leave your wife, you leave your husband, you go back, right? Hook up with them. Can't hook up. Because everything have changed. See, one of the nature of reality is that it is constantly changing. Things come into being, they durate, and then they disappear. This is the law. The law of impermanence. Nothing lasts here. That's why Jesus said, don't even store up your treasures here on earth. Nothing lasts here. You know what I mean? This is not the place. You see? So this is not only the message in Christianity, but it is the message in all the great spiritual traditions. Everybody understands that. You see? And it's not an argument that you have to accept just because I'm saying it. It's true. Examine your life. Now look at it. Start with your body. Is this thing changed? Look in the mirror. Take a good look. Take your hat off. Take your teeth out. And look, and you will see. Nothing stays the same here. You see, this is flux. This is flow. You see? Nothing stays the same. No experience that you have, and no object that you are experiencing here stays the same. But there is something that don't change, but we're going to save that for last. We'll get into that. So the point though is that that's the same thing, my friend, that we all do. We try to go back and get what we lost. You see? Not realizing that it ain't even there no more. It's gone. It's in the mind. See? It's like when the mind is full of ignorance, it creates a phenomenon much like a mirage. You familiar with mirages?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Okay. So when a mind is full of ignorance, and there's 3 levels of mind, and I'm just going to put them here. There's what we call a dependent mind. This is the mind full of ignorance. It has no understanding of the nature of reality. Then there's the undue mind. It understands all this stuff as just appearances. You see, then there's the Brahman mind. It has wisdom. Any case, coming back to our example. So, you imagine you're riding on a train or on a bus or in your car, and you see a desert out there, right? And suddenly you see a beautiful oasis out there, right? Are you going to run out there? Why?
You want to go to the audience?
Because there's no oasis out there, right? You know that, right? Even though your eyes see an oasis, right? But you know that's just a mirage, right? The past is a mirage. You run it toward it and you will perish because it doesn't exist. You see? She don't love you no more. And yes, you're not getting that job back. You're not being transferred. You will find it. That means it's for real. You out of here. Get your stuff and get out of here. They ain't gonna call you back. Mirage. It's a mirage generated by the lack of understanding. But in any case, the next thing that we have to do, now that we have understood something about reality, when you have understood something about reality and embraced it and accepted it, now you gotta what? You gotta adjust. You gotta adapt to reality, is that right? What happens to anyone or anything that cannot adapt to reality?
Ceases to exist.
Huh?
Ceases to exist. Or stay.
It cannot survive. A species that cannot adapt to its environment will go extinct. True? True? A mind full of ignorance that cannot adapt to reality will go insane. That's our definition of insanity. That's the clinical definition of insanity. Am I right about that? The inability to adapt. They become what we call maladaptive behavior. They're always adapting in a way to reality that is inconsistent with reality. And as a result of that maladaptation, they suffer. They have great mental and great emotional suffering. You see? But they're causing their own mental and emotional suffering because of their ignorance that keeps them trying to adapt reality to them. How are you going to do that? You're not going to adapt reality to you. You can adapt to reality. Reality is bigger than you. It made you. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
Make sense? So you start adjusting, adapting to the reality that you have now come to understand. Is that about right?
Yes, sir.
When you make such an adaptation, then you have empowered yourself. Until that point, you're still operating powerlessly, right? So you readapt to the house. you know, that we shared for 40 years. You know, I ain't selling the damn house. I readjust. I adapt to this house. I can't sell it up. We're underwater anyway. But I readjust to the very environment again. True, based on the reality. So I take your 300 pairs of shoes and I donate. You know what I mean? I take your jewelry and I pawn it. Or whatever, you see. But I readapt and I adjust to that environment that we both have just shared. I readjust. I adapt. You see? And I survive. Yes, sir.
So, what do you think are some of the pros and the cons when somebody readjusts and adapts too fast?
Well, if you try to readapt without understanding, then naturally you're going to fail. You follow me? And you will feel such failure because you won't have any peace of mind to begin with. Like with you. Usually that kind of panic reaction comes out of ignorance. You know what I mean? But the point I'm stressing is that you have to be able to, on the basis of your understanding, and if the understanding is truly there, you will adjust and you will adapt to the environment itself, to the house itself. You won't be scared, oh, they ghosts are in here. All of that kind of superstitious stuff falls away. Are you with me? You can sleep in the bed again where the beloved slept with you and have a nice sleep. Adjusted. Yes, sir.
You know, it's amazing because in our culture even, we're told that a week off from work is maybe 2 weeks at the most is sufficient, and you're expected to come back to work and carry on as you were before the loss. And so many cases we see of people who go into work and then they put on a mask. They wear a persona as though they have adjusted, and then as soon as they walk in the door back at home, is crying all night until the next day.
Yeah, but that's what happens in our culture because our culture, fundamentally, Western culture, is in denial of the reality of death in the first place. That's why you make them look like they're alive in the cast. Oh, they look dead like it. You kiss them. This is what Western culture has done. You see, it is a culture that denies the reality of death, dying, loss, aging, impermanence, all of it. You follow me? And this is wired into our mind via media, television. You're supposed to look like you're 30 for when you're 70. Come on, this is real. I mean, you don't look like you're 30 when you're 70. Stop, you know, what is this? You see? But this is the thing, you know, you see, forever young and all of that. Nobody is forever young. That's a futile ambition. Have you noticed? It goes completely against reality. And whenever you go against reality, you suffer. You suffer. That's always the consequence of it, because reality trumps your wishful thinking. You see? So you're absolutely right. In our culture, we're in complete denial about death. You see? Now that's not so in many other cultures, especially in poor countries. I mean, because I think you went to South Africa a couple of years back, right? Yeah. And they burying people in the backyard. Yeah. You know what I mean? You see them laying on the sidewalk. You know what I mean? In India, Africa, I mean, the reality of death is there. You see it everywhere. You see, we even pick up raccoons off the highway. We get dead, you know, squirrels off the street. We don't want you to see nothing as it really is. Are you with me? In other countries, in other traditions, in Tibet, for instance, the Buddhists, you see, they would go to cemetery. This is where they will hold their spiritual meetings. You see. Now, some of you all know that a lot of people are scared to even come into a funeral.
No, for sure.
Well, half of y'all are funeral directors, so you're an exception. But I mean, really, it's just that thing. They don't ever want to be made conscious of reality. They want to stay unconscious of the nature of reality. That's why we have a drug epidemic and all the other kinds of problems, because you want to anesthetize yourself. you don't want to deal with the reality of whatever suffering that you're presently experiencing. One person said it very beautifully. It said that our suffering is born with us. And from that point on, we only become more and more stupid. Right? Never learning how to manage and cope with our own suffering, not understanding that. You follow me? And this is how we go. Then we drop dead and y'all make us look like we're alive. Sometimes look better than when we're alive. Y'all do some good work, really good fooling. I make people look good. I see why necrophilia occurs. That's an inside joke. That's an inside joke. Y'all too damn good. But you get my point. With that understanding, with acceptance, with letting go, there comes the ability to readjust to your environment, to your reality. No problem. You see? We're going to take a break at 2:30. I'm just going to see if I can finish up this component. Number 4. Now, if we can make that readjustment, right? We become capable of something else. And relative to, let's say, the loss of a loved one. We've been able to accept it, let go, it's past and all of that. We've adjusted to the environment. So now what can we do now?
Begin to walk in truth.
Yeah, we can walk the truth, and part of that walking of the truth is that I ain't got no wife no more. I need a wife. Right?
Moving on.
You have to kind of move on, right? I can kind of reformate. I can make a kind of reformation, not going back to the past, young man, right? You see, I begin to become capable of formatting new relationships. Right? Because I don't have no baggage. Right? Got no more baggage. Now I can begin to formate new relationships again. I can start living again. You follow what I'm saying? I can go dancing again. I might go to the club. I can live again. You see? Because you still need love. Now how you gonna live without love? Who you kidding? Your shoes, your dresses, your job, your degrees, your bank account. That stuff don't love you. See, there's something that we all need as human beings that you can only get from another human being. By definition. Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
And you can start loving him.
No, no, sir.
And start living again. You follow me? And if you have understanding, you will live more abundantly. That's what Jesus' message was all about. Get this understanding, the great teacher said, and you will have life, and you will have it more abundantly. You say quality of life comes back to you. Are you with me? You're not walking around with all this sad sack. You know what I mean? It's very interesting. Therapists know that one of the great psychoanalysts, Jung, right? His practice consists mostly of treating middle-aged people, people our age, or some of our ages, right? And most of them were presenting issues in therapy, right, that were directly related to their failure to love. You got to love or you become insane. Make a note. You become insane. That's the ultimate form of maladaptation. That's how, again, we define people who are maladaptive. People who are out of sync with reality, operating with no understanding. They can't love and they can't work. You see, because working is a response to the reality that you gotta eat. You gotta pay some damn bills here. Ain't nobody gonna take care of you. Shit. You know what I mean? You gotta get up and get it, right? You gotta work. Right? And you gotta love. If you can't do these two things, we write you a prescription. See, maladjusted, right? Maladapted. So once we are able to enter into this reconciliation and recovery stages from a loss of a loved one or some beloved situation or circumstance, we're able to live again. And this is basically the psychology of what being able to live again looks like. Yes, sir.
On the subject of maladjustment, or perhaps you can address this, a person can resolve that they want to move forward, but the strategies are interesting. And just yesterday, I happened to observe two men who easily were over 60. No doubt about it. They were driving the Corvette with the tops open, and they had all these player clothes on. And you had to wonder.
Are you paying attention?
You had to wonder what strategy was being employed. Obviously, it was the pursuit of something, but was that ignoring reality?
Yes,
It's
in
ultimately
fact,
going to lead to failure?
It's interesting you said two men. You know, in men we have what we call anthropos, right? Midlife crisis, right? So, and this is not in the workbook. So ladies, pay attention. I'll give you a secret, right? You got a man that is between 40 and 45. He's thinking about leaving you. I'm telling the truth, right? Now, it's really deep. It's really deep. Because, again, you know, we go through stages of life, right? Human development moves through stages, usually in 7-year cycles, right? So you got stage 1 of life, right? That birth is about 7, right? And in that stage, your mind is operating out of magical thinking, right? Stage 2, that's your adolescence or pre-adolescence, 14. I'm not going to go through all of this, but just to give you some kind of sense of how this thing is going. It's this stage, stage 3, adolescence. Adolescence. Adolescence in male is a traumatic experience. 14 to 21. Right? Now, actually, there are 2 stages of adolescence. We call this stage 1, and then there's a delayed adolescence, stage 4, right? And that's like from 21 to 28, right? So these 2 stages. But it starts in high school. You start creating this vision for your life, right? So you're 16, you're 17. You got anybody got teenagers? All right, so y'all should know what I'm talking about. They're talking about I'm gonna be a rap star. I'm gonna be this. You know, they start creating a vision for their life. By the time that they 35 or 40, they say I'm gonna have $12 billion. I'm gonna have me a big mansion. Blah 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 blah. Right? Now, what happens in anthropos, sometimes it's happening sooner, in fact. We have in males what we call quarter-life crisis. They're about 24, 25, and they hadn't made the million yet. Then they behave in the same way that we do when we hit this 40, 45. But the point I'm making is that you created all these dreams and ambitions and visions of your life that and living, right? That you're going to be like by the age of 35 or 40. And so you get 35 or 40, and none of that came true. You're not an MD, and you don't have, you ain't got a 200,000 plus salary, and you don't have a big house. You see my point? So what happens is that you become afraid. What I'm trying to get you to see, that kind of behavior is driven by fear. And what is the fear? The fear that, all right, look, I'm 45. So when you look in the mirror, you're no longer able to lose yourself. You know, you're getting old now. You feel it in your bones. You can't play no more ball. You know what I'm saying? You got gray hair. You got your first pair of dentures. You understand what I'm saying? You understand now. You see, the reality of your mortality begins to seep in. So you can no longer deceive yourself. Okay, you lose the capacity to lie to yourself. You know what I'm saying? Is that right? You go to sleep at night, you don't tap your wife on the shoulder. You understand that, right? You got some Viagra in your wallet. You understand? Some reality now, right? And you're afraid that the death, you slowly becoming more and more conscious of your own death and dying. See, this comes over time. Little kids, they have no awareness of their death and dying at all. As you get older, as you move through these stages, very slowly, like how slowly your mustache grew, your breasts presented themselves, very slowly, you start becoming more and more aware of the reality of your condition. The you that you've been thinking you are, based on your misidentification with all of that which is not you, begins to dissolve. We're going to talk about that next, okay? And you begin to slowly realize, oh, I see. And then you do an assessment. Well, they ain't got the stingray, you know what I mean? They ain't got the big house. You start becoming full of fear that you're going to die before you can fulfill that vision. And you with me? It scares the hell out of you. You follow me? So all that money I was saving for my daughter college, that coming out of the bank. That's a real Corvette for me. You understand what I'm saying? You give me some gold. You see my point? You're desperate now to try to fulfill your ambitions and your adolescent dreams before you are too old or worse, dead. And that rise of awareness over those 20-some years since you were 18, you're seeing so much death. So you're not as naive before. You see, you got friends you went to high school with are dead now. You know what I'm saying? You watch the news, you read the paper, you see the streets out here, right? And you begin to understand that death can happen just like that. You begin to understand that death comes ready or not. You follow me? And you don't know under what circumstances, when or where. You see, you're wising up some. You see, that's why the old folks say that keep a living. You'll understand. There's a kind of understanding you get just from living. If you're not unconscious, that is. If you're not trapped in your mind somewhere, are you with me? If you're just a little bit present with reality, you begin to discern some reality here. And they can, basically, you see. And they try to go back and get what they couldn't get, you see. Especially if that young man was saying, they even try to go back to the past now. You see, so you'll see them, they're on the corner, they got their hat turned, you understand? I mean, really, you know, they're out there. Look on in the corner, you know, some old players out there, right? You see? There's a guy on the west side, Bill Washington, somewhere right around Costner, right? And back in the day, you know what I mean? I'm from London, right? Anybody else from West Side? Hold the city up in here. All right. So that there on Washington and Costner, back in the day, was players, you know, Don Juan and all of them. But this brother here, his thing was different. You know, Don Juan was green and gold, right? Y'all know that, right? Okay. But this brother was all red. And he used to have a red umbrella. You know what I mean? That was his signature piece. You know what I mean? These pimps know how to get your attention, women. You know what I mean? Colors, they understand that. Any case, saw him a couple of years ago. He got to be 80. Still on the corner. I'm sorry for that brother. You know what I mean? You see, because there is a phenomenon that happens when you don't have understanding. You can grow old, but you'll never grow up. Growing up is a very different phenomenon. Very different phenomenon. And you see those sisters, same thing. They haven't grown up, right? And she's out there. Now, she's 75. And she dressed like one of them dots. You understand what I'm saying? some of them amputated. You don't amputate them. She never grew up. You see? She never grew up. Right? And not growing up is a terrible thing to happen to anybody, because reality will not cut you into slack just because you didn't grow up. But this is what happens. And it's not just the red Corvette. They was on their way to get them some women, man. Yeah. You know that, right? Right. Yeah.
It looked that way.
Yeah. A lot of guys, that's when they begin to become promiscuous. That's when they most likely become cheaters. Because they're really trying to get it back. And the key to getting back my youth, give me a young girl. Right? Sugar daddy. Right? Right? Big mama. Right? Because that's the key. Right? You know, I get this young girl, and, you know, I can imagine I'm younger kids. Right? I'm for this young chick, you know what I mean? But that's because you got money, man. Or for a minute, right? You gotta fix her hair. Take a look at her shopping money. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Come on, is this too real? That's all right.
Keep it coming, baby.
Right, I don't want to offend y'all. You know what I mean? I don't want to offend y'all image of yourself. I know these PhDs give you a false image of yourself. As if you have somehow transcended your humanity. Who you kidding? Harvard degrees don't result in you transcending your fundamental humanity. Who you kidding? Yes, sir.
Now, how do you superimpose those same parameters on the younger kids that are out here now? To them, old age is 30.
Yeah, that's quarter-life crisis. Right. In fact, that's a good question. You see, if they don't have it by the time they're 25, they go into a quarter-life crisis, not a midlife, because they're not at midlife. It's quarter-life crisis. You see my point? And I mean, they break down. Now, what happened with those kids, right? These are the kids that go in your basement until you dead. But they're not going to go back out here. Because they gave themselves a very limited time. If I don't have this Benz, you know what I mean, with them 20 inch on them, right? And I don't have that mansion like R. Kelly, right? And if I don't have it at 25, I'm done. They'll fall into depression. They'll give up. You see my point? And they'll be in your basement, right? They will not have the wherewithal, the psychological resiliency to handle the struggle that it takes to get off. Are you with me? Are they naive? Remember, TV has made them naive, right? You see, when we were growing up, right, they had we didn't have all them Bill Gates out there with that made $1 billion when they were 19. You know what I mean? We didn't feel bad about being broke and delivering papers at 20, right? Yeah, that's a paper route. We were cool with that. Not these kids. Their minds have been programmed, falsely. You see that they can achieve all of this. So the only thing we can do is give them some understanding. You follow me? But we can't give them no understanding of what? So these kids are a product, right, of our ignorance and failure to parent on the basis of reality. You know, reality. You see? So forth and so on. Much more can be said about that. You see, all of these things are sort of interconnected. But we achieved our first purpose here today. We finished this first section here. So we looked at the therapeutic stages of reconciliation and recovery from loss, right? We see how that process works. And now what you have to do is to see where you are at in any recovery process related to a loss you have had. See, it's got to get personal. It can't become professional without it first being personal. You would never be more professional than you are personal development. You see, in large corporations, we understand that. You know, so Google or Microsoft, they come in and they do workshops about this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Everybody's there, managers, everybody. You see, titles do not exempt from your own imperfections, shortcomings, and faults. True? And you can't give what you don't have. Hmm? Philosophy don't work. You see? Schweitzer said it best. He said, you can't, he says, character. And that's what one of the problems is, young men. Our children lack character. And Albert Schweitzer said that character can't be taught. First, it has to be caught. It happens through osmosis. Are you with me? So you can't stand up on the soapbox and preach to these kids. That's just rhetoric, right? It's osmosis. It has to be caught. You got to catch it from you. True? True. With that, let's take a 15-minute break. Can we come back at about 10 minutes to 3? Would that be all right? Ain't no tavern close by. In a personal sense. Because the reality is that we're all going to need those kind of skills that help comfort and enable someone that we love to have a good day. It's also something that we need to teach our children so that they can help us have a good day. That's why I'm always glad to have family here, daughters and brothers and sisters and so forth, so that when this body of mine comes to an end, at least there's someone around that will know how to help me, see, go through that very difficult transition. So it is practical now. That's why it is a part of all great spiritual traditions, without exception. You see? All of these great spiritual traditions are based on helping us learn how to handle death. You see? How to be prepared for that. Our own and those of our loved ones. You see? So I'm hoping that each one of you in here, particularly those who are in the inner life profession, start teaching, families. Because they're going to have other losses, and if they are able to perceive you as a source of that kind of healing that they need to recover from that loss, guess what? They're going to send everybody to you. They're not going to send everybody to you to get a coffin. Are you following me? But they will send everybody to you because you know how to really give them what they really need. You see? Which was help. And one day, you will need it too. Because you too are going to have to go out of it. Right? So I want to talk a little bit about this next section here, the psycho-spiritual stages of life. And this gets a little bit more esoteric, but I hope we can still have fun with it to some degree. So, now I'm looking for my funeral directors to kind of lead the discussion here, because you guys work with the dead every day. Some of you in here probably also will be able to join in and help us with this investigation, based on your own personal experience of the death of a loved one. See, how many of you have been around somebody in your family who had died? Okay, good. All right, good. So I got my team now, okay? So we can go to work. So looking at these psycho-spiritual and even physical stages of dying, what happens? What is death? Have you ever thought about it? And some water. You ready for family? Oh, my eyes are dead. I'm gonna be talking about this. So what happens in the stages of loss and death? Well, let me preface this a little bit. There's a term that we use is called Bhagwan. Now, you have to forgive me for this language barrier because I'm only able to communicate in a language and a tradition that I've learned something about this stuff. But Bhagwan simply means the gap. The gap. The gap between transitional states. Like even with your thought process, if you'll notice it, if you read something, a thought arrives, and before the next thought arrives, there's a gap. In those gaps, you find truth. So, the Bhagwan. So, what these folks who have studied this stuff, much deeper than I have come to realize that we are always in transition. So there is the Bhagwan of natural life. Just give me a little background. The Bhagwan of natural life. That's what we're in now, you see? But you're dying, you see? When you were born, you started dying that very day, you see? And it becomes more and more pronounced over time, and so forth and so on. But on a quantum level, right, you are dying. Your cells are dying all the time, you see? Your bones and all of this, these things renew themselves and they come back, you know, every few years. You don't even have the same backbone you had. All change at the cellular level, beneath the threshold of your consciousness. So in the Bhagwan of natural life, the transition, there is this die going on. Then there is a gap, small, and you move from the natural Bhagwan of life into the Bhagwan of death and die. Sometimes it's called the painful Bhagwan. It's hurt. As you get closer and closer to the end time of this gross physical body, there's an increase in pain. Some of you already know that arthritis, some knees, feel it. Your body starts hurting. Pain, the painful part of dying. Then there's the Bhagwan of the afterlife. This is very interesting. It's another stage. And then there's the Bhagwan of rebirth. So what you see is a cycle here. Birth, dying and death, afterlife experience, rebirth. Cycle. Wheel. And not only is it a cycle of life, it's a cycle you see even at the quantum level. You see? It's the level of quantum mechanics. I don't know if you're familiar with quantum mechanics, but you'll see that. You know what I mean? Same phenomenon. On an infinitely smaller basis, but operating on the same principle. Ancient people, particularly the ancient Egyptians, African Egyptians, and Kemet, you see, understood this cycle. Understood this cycle. And understanding that cycle gave them the ability to create a very different culture, a very different civilization. You see, no doubt one of the longest lasting civilizations ever created by human beings, capable of creating great science, great art, all of that, you see, because they understood this. It's a movement, you see. Everything is changing, it's moving and changing specifically according to this scheme. Now, don't want to bore you with too much of that stuff, but I want you to have a kind of a little background. So, the first step, and I guess I'm going to give you a freebie to get you started here. The first thing that happens in the dying part of the dying stage of life, the dramatic part of it, you see? As you get closer to that deathbed, or on your deathbed, let's say that we'll consider the most pleasant scenario on how you will die, how you will meet death. But there are different ways of that. Death will either be by a natural cause or an unnatural cause. These are the two categories, right? We're going to be, for the benefit of for the sake of argument, I'm assuming y'all going to die a nice natural death. You're going to be 90 years old on your bed, surrounded by your loved ones, and you know that whole thing. You see what I'm saying? In the ancient image, they would put all that person's stuff in there with them. They'll put some people in there, kill his servants, and put this, you know, so he'd be comfortable. You know what I mean? A kind of pseudo-natural death was created, is what I'm saying. All right? They knew they're not taking all this stuff into the afterlife. It wasn't purpose for them. It was purpose to give the person the experience of a natural death, comfort, loved ones, etc., etc. So if you don't have any loved ones, you just go get you some Madigan, stand the Madigan. Or it would be an unnatural death. The unnatural death means death by accident. Plane crash, you know what I mean? Hit by a Mack truck. Murder. Unnatural. But what is true of both categories of death and dying, that we all are going to go through, that they share some very common features. One, it's unknown. When? You don't know. It's unknown how. So you don't know when, and you don't know how, and you don't know where. Now, you guys that are in the business, right? You went and got body, you can still smell the cologne. The shoes are still shining. The tires are still, they're still lighting up. And you bring them out in the bag. He had no idea. True?
That's scary.
No idea. But you got her, she's still, you know, that Chanel, whatever that is. What is it? Chanel, what? Fire, there you go. You can still smell it on it. She's smelling good. Y'all putting in that flavor, but she had no idea. You get some guy in the morgue and he's all twisted up, beat up. You know, he got hit by a car crossing the street. He had no idea. He just going to go to get him a pack of square. Or going to get a loose square. No idea. Unknown. You see, unknown. You don't know when, you don't know how, and you don't know what. The only thing you are certain about is that it's going to happen. Period. Right? So the whole purpose then of spiritual teaching, training, practice, purpose of religion is to prepare you for death. That's bottom line. All of the teachings are there to help prepare you for that which is certain, death. You see? And whether you know when, how, where, that ain't gonna stop death. So you have to be prepared. Are you with me? And that's the function and purpose of religion, of spiritual training, spiritual tradition, spiritual literature, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You see, that's the bottom line. It has nothing to do with your religious emotionalism. Are you with me? It has nothing to do with your psychology. Psychology is not going to prepare you. Are you with me? You need a much more profound knowledge and understanding of this. So far, so good? Yes, sir. Okay. Now, end of life profession, when you bring that dead body, well, no, let me back up. Let me just get the dying part first. Those of you who have witnessed death dying, what started happening in that person that you witnessed dying? You have any idea? Yes, ma'am. Is she raising her hand? Are you wiping your floor? I said, oh. It's too scary now. Yes, ma'am. Okay, I like that. What that I'm tired means, you see, what happens is there's a dissolution of the 5 elements that make up your gross and your mental being. You're made out of stuff. Are you with me? This body is made out of stuff. The mind is made out of stuff. Are you with me? And the stuff that the body mind is made out of has been referred by the ancients and every tradition as the 5 basic elements. Do you know what they are? Somebody must know what they are. Yeah. Earth. Somebody said earth, wind, and fire. And they have one that they call ether. Space. These are the 5 elements. They're called tattvas in Sanskrit. In Hinduism, we call it tattvas. Tattvas really mean principles. These are principles. See, I struggle here to really try to communicate this because this is really kind of deep. But you need deep knowledge to deal with the reality of death, right? Ancestors on the west coast of Africa in the Dogon tradition, we had a term for this. We call this sogayi. Deep knowledge. Not ordinary knowledge. You see? Deep knowledge. In fact, the Dogon mystic said that if you don't understand what we're going to be discussing here about dying and death and how all that works and so forth and so on, that you are fundamentally ignorant. Fundamentally, how many PhDs you have? Fundamentally, you're ignorant. And you're ignorant about something you need to have some profound understanding about because you're going to die. That's certainly you that you feel you are based on your identification with your body, your emotion, your mind, your biography, your history, your beliefs, your likes, your dislikes. That psychosocial self that you call me, impermanent, going out of here. And you don't know how, you don't know when, you don't know where. Right? And there's some very specific experience that are going to happen in that process. For everybody. Nobody exempt. Your money won't exempt you. Your religion won't exempt you. It has nothing to do with that stuff. This is the physics here, right? Now, so these principles or these elements that make up our being, both at the level of the physical growth body as well as at our mental level, have been called earth. And what they are really the principle that organize the atomic makeup of this body. And I'm not going to get too much in there, but there are certain qualities about Earth, right? Now, you mentioned that the first thing that happens in dying process is the dissolution of the Earth element, right? The gross physical body, it gets weak. It starts getting weak. Why? Because that means the withdrawal of the life force. These elements are dissolved. And with the complete dissolution of these elements, the life force is gone. It is these elements combined in how they operate that creates the life in this body, right? Okay? So when that earth element begins to dissolve, and it will begin to dissolve, you will experience that. And in the form of the body will grow weak. What else would you begin to experience with the dissolution of this earth quality, this solidity?
The water element.
Well, the water is next. We're talking about earth right now.
Awesome. Like my dad was saying, he couldn't move around, he couldn't walk like this, he couldn't walk anywhere.
But yeah, that's the weakness. And the loss of this element not only affects the body, I guess, but I should really do that, talk about it a little bit better, because this is profound stuff here. So we want to look at the effects of the dissolution of these 5 elements both on the body and the mind, because it affects both. Because the mind is made out of the same stuff as the body, it's just more subtle. Are you with me? So you're right, weakness, loss of strength, right, in the body, right?
Does the pain of old age in the body,
The
is
dying.
that part of it?
When you start dying in the body and the body starts, the earth elements start breaking down, yeah, because pain is very often the result of the withdrawal of life. But the pain you got like now, the arthritis, stuff like that, that's not the pain. Because the pain that you experience during the dying process, when these elements are on their way into dissolution, is 7-fold more intense than any pain you experience in death at all. 7-fold. Now keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. So you'll see as they are moving into that dying process, and the earth element, which this body mostly represents, right, begin to dissolve, right? You see? And you just touch them.
Ooh!
Hurts. Life force. The effect on the mind, you see, that the mind begins to also get weak, right? Dementia, right? Your memory starts fading. You see, you can't remember things, so forth and so on. The earth element part of your being is dissolved. See, death is a dissolution of your gross, physical, and mental being. That is what is happening. And it's happening while you're in this body. It's not like you're standing outside the body, oh, the body's in stage 4. No. You're in the body. This is what you will be experiencing. And either you are prepared to handle that, or you're not prepared to handle it. You see? But in any case, it's going to happen. And there's nothing you can do to avoid it. It's not optional. Are you with me? See, these workshops are optional. What religion you will follow, that's optional. Dying, that's not optional. That has nothing to do with your beliefs, with your religion, your philosophy, your psychology. It transcends all of that. That's reality. And you will experience it. Y'all all right? Yes, I told you we are in a funeral home after all. We got to kill somebody. There's many other symptoms, though, but you getting the idea? Anybody else have any idea of what the symptomatology at the level of the body and the mind is like when this earth element begins to dissolve?
Get a little sight. Get a little sight.
Get a little what?
Get a little sight.
Just seeing.
Get what? I get from the website. Somebody translate. You get what? Oh!
The hearing?
Yeah, the senses. Yeah, mind and senses. Right. Actually, that'll take us into the next part. But we might as well kind of look them all together. Y'all very sophisticated, right? But you do begin to see the 5 senses. You know, feelings, taste, because y'all know the 5 senses. Okay. And what happened is that the body has an organ representing each of those 5 senses, right? Like the eyes are the organ of sight, right? So in my body, that organ, the eye, the physical eye, that's made out of earth element too, right? And so when this whole thing starts dissolving, right, my eyes start getting bad too, right? I can't see as clear, right? The ability to see is still there. I'll do it in a dream. But seeing through these gross physical eyes, whose matter is dissolving, you know, I can't see it. You know? And that's true of each other of the senses, right? Are you all following me? Each sense perception has its corresponding organ in the gross physical body. You have ears, right? So as this body begins, earth elements begin to dissolve, right? You find that you can't hear so good anymore, right? Yeah, I just said. Oh, you need that earphone, right? you're not too vain, you better hook up. You follow what I'm saying? Because you go out in the street, you won't hear that truck, I'm gonna kill your damn self. You follow what I'm saying? Right? True? What about tongue and taste? Can't taste.
Yeah, that's gone.
You see? Because the earth element is dissolved.
Yeah, that's gone.
You see? Earth element is falling. Right? Can't taste. You know, put a whole box of salt on it. You know, and run your blood pressure. You know what I mean? Right?
You sleep more too. You sleep.
Okay.
That's no
And so the same is with the skin, right? The organ of touch, right? It's falling apart. Y'all with me so far? Now, what's important to understand about all of this, this is something you are going to experience, and it is something you will witness in people who are dying. You follow me? This is not my belief, my argument. It has nothing to do with it. This is just observation. You see this your own self. You experience some of it yourself, aren't you? You're in this body, right? And this body, the level of these 5 basic elements will start dissolving, and it will affect you at the level of your mind and senses, right? So when my organs of perception in the gross physical body, the 2 eyes, right? When the earth element begins to dissolve in it, and now they become more and more dysfunctional, right? Sight is still going on, right? But I'm misperceiving, right? Isn't that interesting?
Why is that?
Because my eyes, the physical eyes, right, are dissolved. So the capacity to see equates sight. That you see like in a dream, you can see, right? That's sight, right? Those are the senses. These are the sense organs. Very often we get the two confused, right? There are sense organs and there are senses. Okay? But your eyes are getting bad, we call it. My eyesight is getting weak, right? Earth element part of the body that makes up your eyes is getting weak. So what you see, you're misperceiving. Very interesting. Yes, ma'am.
So yeah, and I don't know how you're going through these, but there's also then often with dying people, so there's a tremendous disorientation and agitation and confusion. Because, and you either consciously participate in this process, or the process seems to be happening to you, and you're not consciously participating in it, which I imagine
Well,
you're
in fact, what you're addressing, Anthony Saab, pertains to the dissolution of the water, you see, and the dissolution of fire. And we will get there, but you're very right. Because as each one of these elements dissolve, there will be a symptomology that you will experience while in this body, you see? So forth and so on. And the mental part was the weakness of memory. You see my point? Your memory starts going. You can't remember anymore. You start developing dementia. And that's just natural because even at the neurological level, your brain cells, right? They begin to dissolve. Those parts of the brain, right, that houses your capacity and faculty for memory, the prefrontal cortex, these things are dying. That shows up as, oh shit, I can't remember. You know, follow what I'm saying? Your reflexes are going, right? The reflexes are going. All of that has a lot to do with the brain part in this gross physical body, because that's what the headquarters is. But your brain is dying. It's dissolving. It's falling apart. You see? Your neural circuits, you know, are dying out. You're losing connections, and that shows up in your whole bodily behavior. Okay? So far, so good?
Yes, sir.
Water element start dissolving. What that looks like when that water element of those 5 elements that make up our gross being begins to dissolve.
Dehydrated.
You get dehydrated because what is happening, you're losing control of your fluids. You see? So all of the hydraulic aspects of your body functions right, or impacted, right? So it's slogging. You follow what I'm saying?
Eyes more incontinent.
Eyes, incontinence, right? You're urinating, you can't hold your water. You know what I mean? See? So it's dissolving. You, at the level of your mind and senses, again, you at the loss of fluidity. Your mind is not fluid. You see? It's hard for you to understand this stuff. You know what I mean? Because it's losing fluidity. Go to school. Did anybody go back to school after the age of 50?
Just recently.
Just to. That's hard to learn. You know what I mean? It's hard. I mean, really. I remember when I was a youngin', right? Full of ambition. I remember I wanted to be a stockbroker, right? So I wanted to make some money, right? And I went and got the first licenses, right? And then a few years later, I went back there. I might get my Series 7, right? I took the class. I couldn't understand nothing. I mean, really, I tried, but I couldn't understand. You see? Fluidity. Yes, sir.
What do you attribute that?
The water element, you know, begin to dissolve, right? Which leaks out, you know. So, for instance, even on the mental level, you'll find your mind is just running. Now, those who try to do meditation, they really are able to appreciate what happens in the dissolution. You see, if you're an older person and you're meditating, even a younger person, but even more so when you get older, your mind runs more. You can't concentrate. You see, your ability to concentrate begins to diminish because all those thoughts are just, you have no control over it. So it's a kind of loss of control due to the fluidity. You know what I mean? So forth and so on. But you can see it in the person because you go to a hospice, right? Anybody work in hospice, been in hospice, see, think you picked up bodies in hospice. So, but you see people laying in the bed, they don't wear it on themselves, they don't even know. Right? Because their ability to even feel diminished, right? They can't feel themselves wetting their pants, they can't feel it.
The nerve burned out.
The touch, the skin, the organ of touch, it's dissolving. They don't know it. Some of them have, boo-boo on themselves, they don't even know it. They can't even smell it because the organ of the nose has begun to dissolve. You know? They stink and they don't even know it. True? True. They're gonna happen to you too. What you gonna do, boo? When you start stinking. Right? So you don't start stinking. This is how it goes. The elements that makes up this body and mind begin to dissolve, and with the dissolution of those elements, you become more and more dysfunctional. Yes, my dear.
I know one of the clear signs that the person is really near death is the loss of urine.
Mm-hmm.
And so not being able to produce urine is one of the telltale signs that the person is within that 12 to 24,
That's right.
48-hour time frame.
That's absolutely right. And when you bring the bodies in, right, I don't want to get too gross, but funeral directors, they understand all of this. You know what I mean? When you bring that body in, don't you sometimes see they've lost their bowels, they're pissed all on themselves. You'll find that in the majority of the cases, right? It can happen quick or it can happen slow. Depends on what circumstances you're down under. Are you with me? Right? You get murdered, boom, fast. You bring them in, he got it, right? You're in a nursing home slowly. Each day, you got a little bit more piss, a little bit more shit on yourself, a little bit more stuff. It's slower, but it's the same thing. Are you with me? Following the argument? And it's going to happen to you too. And the suffering when that happens to you will be 7-fold more intense than any suffering you have in the body now. That's the part you got to get with. That's what you got to get with it, right? It's going to be sevenfold more intense. How are you going to handle that? You see, you get a toothache and you take off for 3 days. You can't work, you can't do nothing. You know what I mean? Do you understand what I'm saying? This is not beanbag. This is real deal. And you don't have an option. Not like you could say, well, Dr. Ingram, well, I don't think I'll die. You don't have that option. It's not optional. You don't get to decide this. What you get is to get ready, be prepared. And this is a wisdom teaching that I'm offering you, albeit worded a little different, but Jesus said it very beautifully, or maybe not Jesus, but in Psalms, it says, "Oh Lord, teach me the number of my days so that I may develop a heart of wisdom." It's like, teach me about the reality of the number of days. I'm not going to be here forever. You follow me? You're going to be here for a certain amount of days, a certain amount of breath, and you're out of here. Are you with me? The Buddha said that that individual who sees people dying all around them, getting sick, dying natural death, getting hit by cars, getting murdered, getting shot, growing old, sick, becoming feeble-minded, feeble-bodied, but presuming that it won't happen to them, Buddha said this is a fool. This is a straight-up fool. Your ego, it is so out of whack that you have tried to exempt yourself from the reality of death. You can't have more vanity than that. That is why this kind of vanity is a deadly sin. That's off the sharp vanity. To think that you somehow are exempt from old age, sickness, death, and dying. Height of vanity. No, and that vanity will keep you unprepared. It's still going to happen. Ready or not, like it or not, you're on your way out of here.
It's coming right now.
Got me ready? I'm going to move through these a little bit faster because there's more that I want to cover. I'm going to have more dialogue. So then again, the next element is dissolve, and they dissolve in these orders. Earth dissolves into the water, water dissolves into the fire. Now this fire is really that element in you, and you can feel it when a person dies. What about their temperature? Is the body cold? You ever brought in a warm body? No, you ain't. What about you? Ever brought in a warm body with a fever? See if they got a fever? No, you don't give them. No heat. No heat. Right? So all of the functions in that body that are dependent upon thermodynamics is over with. They're gone. No heat. And with no heat, there's a lot of other functions in the body that cannot happen, right? True?
That's true.
Yeah. Cold. Gone. You see, thermodynamics. You know, the temperature of the body has a lot to do with how it functions. Follow what I'm saying? It can't be too high, it can't be too low. It has to be in a certain range, right? So forget about the high range. It's going all the way down, right? You'll start feeling it in the dying process because you can't digest nothing. See, in the stomach, the Manipura chakra, as we call it in the tradition, this is where it digests the food. This is heat, fire. Fire in the belly. Are you with me? Ain't no more fire. Now, they're not even hungry no more. They stop eating. Systems are shutting down. It's like your system, all of your bodily, physiological, biological functions in the body are shutting down. And also the faculties in the level of your mind are also shutting down. And they're shutting down in tandem, simultaneously. So when the water element goes out, or the fire element goes out in the body, it also goes out at the level of mind and senses as well. Are you with me? Now that organ of the eye went out a long time ago, but now the inner sight starts fading. It gets very interesting. The fire also gives you perception. Follow me? Light. You see? It gets deep. You see? These old folk who studied that. That was the first definition of philosophy. A philosopher in ancient time was someone that studied the phenomena of death and life. That's what made you a philosopher. You see, of course, today philosophy becomes the art of asking the wrong question. How many angels can dance on the head of a pin? You follow what I'm saying? Right? How many dimensions are there? 3, 4, 5, 22. You know what I mean? Trivia. Philosophy has become preoccupied with trivia. You follow me? Was it like that in ancient times? You see? Nor was it just armchair stuff that you did. Philosophy, for instance, in India was a way of life. You had a philosophy, but you lived it. You didn't sit in an armchair and pontificate. That's modern philosophy. You see? But these ancient people, and even some modern people in our own time, contemporary to it, they understand some reality. Hence we have called it the reality teaching. It's teaching on reality as it is. You see? And either you understand this and thus be prepared for it, or you don't. You see? And so how you are dealing with the many death, many M-I-N-E, how you dealing with the loss associated with the vicissitudes of life, the loss of relationships, the loss of jobs, the loss of opportunity, how you dealing with that now will determine whether you'll be able to deal with this. True? You can't have the loss of a pair of shoes or something. How you going to handle the loss that comes with the dissolution of the development? Right? And don't pretend that you ain't got to worry about that now. No, no, no. You got to worry about this. You see? You got to take care of this business while living. So one of the definitions we have for meditation is dying while living. You got to get prepared for this shit, right? And those of us who are meditators, how many meditators? That's too many. Somebody died. I don't know who, we'll find out. But meditation is simply a simulation of the dying process. Fundamentally. You see? So in ancient time, when you were initiated and given the technology for meditating and all of that stuff, it had nothing to do with emotionalism. You know what I mean? That didn't have to play no role. You see? You don't start meditating out of some pseudo-philosophical, religious, emotional trip. Are you with me? You meditate because you're going to die. That's the motivation. Are you with me? It ain't relaxation. It's not like in California. You know, it ain't for 15 minutes a day. That's not it. You see, you meditate based on understanding the reality of death and what happens, what occurs in that process. That's what gets you out of the beat. That's what gets you the ability to find time to meditate. Not your emotions, because those come and go. Some days you feel like doing, some days you won't. You lacking the understanding necessary to make meditation effective in the first. You don't understand what's waiting on you. You're still in this profound state of vanity, walking around thinking that you are exempt, and it's not going to happen to me. And it's going to happen. I know y'all tired of me saying it, but I warn you up front. I'm going to have to keep reminding you, because if I don't, you'll make it into philosophy. You'll reduce it to psychology. You follow me? You'll play with it. You won't remember a word that was said tomorrow about any of this. You see, you will not be serious about it. You follow me? And you must be serious about it. If you can't get serious about this, then you're fundamentally an unserious person. True? Yes, brother.
Just an observation from my work with hospice and end of life. It's well documented, especially with African American culture. They tell doctors, people who are nearing death, they tell doctors do whatever you can to keep them alive. So they administer morphine and all kinds of palliatives.
Yeah.
How does, yet this can't stop the process.
No.
But does one go through the process then unconsciously?
Yes, I'm going to get into all of that. You're a step ahead. We have a section where we're going to talk about palliative care, why that exists. You know what I mean? good insight. I don't know if we'll be able to really cover all of this today, because what I don't want to do is gloss stuff. You know what I mean? Yet at the same time, I know that the kind of depth we need to go, because this is a room full of end-of-life professionals. You know what I mean? Families bringing you their whole heart in your office. You know what I mean? They're broken hearts. They've lost a child. They've lost a spouse. You know what I mean? Their heart is broke. You know what I mean? They're about to lose their mind. You got to give them more than a casket. You see? You got to give them more than rhetoric. You can't give them what you don't have, because you don't even know how to handle your own stuff. How you going to instruct them on how to handle themselves? Follow what I'm saying?
Can I just tack on one thing real quick?
Yes. I'm in your building.
Yeah, the point was raised the other day about this reality of death. And the argument was, after all, families don't walk in and tell you that I've lost a loved one and I need help. Matter of fact, it's so deep that it's almost outside their own awareness or their inability to articulate. And then our response is, how can I help you? And it seems that buying trinkets and things is what's going to do it. So we got blind leading blind.
That's the difference between a doctor,
true professional,
right, and a pseudo professional. A doctor, he see you come in the room, ain't nothing wrong with you, he see you limping. You're watching your whole body, ain't nothing wrong with that sound. You know what I mean? He look in your eyes, see. Follow me? That's real professional. A fiduciary relationship is there between doctor and patient. It ain't the ego trip. It ain't just about money. Are you with me? We call it savor. Savor. And these inner-life professionals in ancient times, they wouldn't call morticians, they wouldn't call funeral directors. I didn't even call themselves inner-life professionals. Those were death gurus, experts on taking people to death, both the living and the deceased. In the Kemetic time, they were Sema priests, the highest level of priesthood available in those mysteries. Sema priests. Whole different. But let me get to this here, because I know you, and you will go on and on and on. So, I mean, no disrespect, but y'all know Ray, right? So you know I'm doing the right. How many people say I'm doing the right thing? So fire, you begin to lose the ability to perceive things clearly. You lose clarity. You know what I mean? In all of the senses. You know what I mean? Clarity begins to lose. Air. When that begins to dissolve, you see, you'll begin to notice that the person, breathing becomes shallow. Is that about right? Right? Teddy Bear, you know that, right? Yeah. I mean, you were standing by the bedside, so you've had a very recent experience with this, right? Perhaps more than anybody else in your family. You saw that. Breath started getting shallow. You see, the outgoing breath became shorter. They heaved. They're not breathing as no diaphragmatic breathing. It's all up here. I mean, that element is dissolved. You'll notice that the pneumatic systems in the physical body that depends on the movement of air, right? We call it prana, there's 10 of them, right? All of those begin to diminish, so they can't swallow. That's also required. So there, right? Elimination becomes there. It comes from, that's air that pushes out your waste material, so forth and so on. So all of these forms of prana, these 10 forms of prana operating in the body, beginning to dissolve, diminish, and come to an end. Are you with me? Nice. And so here, the thought, the thinking process, you can't even think no more. I mean, the memories already begin to fall away before they also clear it, but here the thinking, intellect, with D. So they're confused. They're confused. You were saying that, Anthony, so they become very confused. You will too. You will too. Right? And that's why it's so important for our children to understand this, because I want my kids at the bedside. Are you with me? Right? Walking me through this process. You know what I mean? You see, understanding what is happening to me. You follow me? And instead of doing all that hollering and screaming, help me move through this stuff. You know what I'm saying? Right? You see? This is not beanbagging. This is going to happen to you. You've seen it happen to other people, right? So what makes you think it's not going to happen to you? I don't understand that. What is that? Where's the logic in that argument? You're denying that you're going to eventually grow old, get sick, get feeble, and die. That is, if you have a natural death. Are you denying that's the truth? And how can you live a life that is not based on truth and be fulfilled? How is that going to happen? And how is pretending that it's not going to happen going to increase the quality of your life? Do you understand what I'm saying here? Yes, sir. Right? We're in Egypt now. This is how we roll in the pyramids. Reality. That was the first teaching the ancient Egyptians gave to their children. They're talking about that. Not ABCs. Not 1, 2, 3. They're not giving them a cell phone to teach them how to full of games. Death. Die. Get you straight. Prioritize your life. You don't waste it. Are you with me? See, it's very practical. Because you know this stuff is going away, so you use your body now. You use it. You don't waste it. Procrastinating. You see my point? Well, when I retire, then me and my wife are going to go on vacation. How you know, first of all, may not even reach that point. Are you with me? And if you do, you're going to be too tired. You're going to be asleep in the damn room. You know what I mean? Nothing going on. No fun. You can't swim because your lungs are all You know what I mean? You wasted this precious human body. Yeah. This thing is precious. Don't waste it. Follow me? Take care of it. You know what I mean? Try to help these elements dissolve as slow as possible. Are you with me? Take care of the mind. You see? Precious. So you need to understand that. You see? And space, ether. You see? The very stuff that of awareness itself. Now, basically, real quickly here, because this, again, I'm glossing this thing. This is on the surface. But when all of these are gone, you see, now you are clinically dead. This is clinical dead. Body's cold, right? No brain activity, but you're not dead in the final sense of the word. That's next. Is this getting spooky? Y'all sure? Yeah. I covered all of these here. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
You know, people in other live on islands, different places, their bodies work like in a different health state. Like the women that live on islands, they don't have menstrual cycles like the men do. The diet has a lot to do with how we deteriorate or how we function. And a lot of the issues that people go through is due to deficiencies in the body. And when you just said don't waste, don't procrastinate, you know, you have to be careful how we take care of ourselves. And unfortunately today, we eat Frankenstein food.
That's right.
Water we drink is poison. But you want to believe it or not, they're doing a lot. The government is allowing a lot of things to happen that should not be. And it's all because of money. It's not about anybody's health, what's going to make the country better. It's all about the bottom line is money. And people are poisoning themselves when they clean the house, when they eat, when you just walk up and down the street. We don't, like you said, we don't get out, we don't go to the car, we don't ride bikes. We don't do anything, we're preoccupied. And we have to be careful, you know, how we spend and number those days that we do have. We
Yeah.
Because no one knows that they know they are.
You don't know. You don't know. You're absolutely
There's a
right.
lot going on that should not be.
You're absolutely right. And see, that's because we don't even understand how this body works. We really don't understand. See, the food that we put into this body, makes qualities of mind. Hence, in many traditions, even in ancient Kemet, especially in India and some other third world countries, the diet is vegetarian. It has nothing to do with trying to somehow cure cancer. It's just understanding that you become what you eat, literally, in the sense that your faculties are governed by that. And so there's categories of food that you could take. And I won't be able to get into all of this, but you see my daughter send her the vegetarian diet and philosophy, she'll send you. I did all of that. But there's categories of food, 3 of them. One is called sattvic food. That creates a calm mind. You see, there are certain kinds of food that you eat that can create calmness in the body mind. It creates calmness in the body, therefore it creates calmness in the mind. Are you with me? It causes the body-mind connection is psychosomatic. Eating is a psychosomatic event. Are you with me? So sattvic, right? That's your vegetables, you see? So forth and so on. You see, non-flesh items, etc. Teetotal, no alcohol, no more weed, no wine. It's called, those are also forms of food. See, so it doesn't matter if you become vegan and you still smoking weed. What is this? You know what I mean? It's no understanding. Are you with me? Then there's what they call rajasic. These are foods that you eat that speeds up the metabolism in the body and thus speeds up your thought and thinking process, right? Spices and so forth and so on. You see? So, and then finally there are tamasic foods. Those are your meats, right? So you eat 2 steaks and nothing potatoes. Then, like my grandson, you see, you go to sleep because those are tamasic foods. You know what I mean? You see, they drain the energy. Because why? It takes so much energy to digest that kind of food. So you might not know, but 70% of the energy in your body is dedicated to the digestion of food. 70%. So when you say, I'm so tired, I'm about to fall out, it's probably because you're eating wrong. You see, you don't use all your energy digesting the burgers and ribs. You understand? You tired, but you ain't did nothing. All you did was eat. How you so tired? You just ate. Right? Go lay down. Yeah, I understand. You go out. Are you with me? So yes, ma'am, you're absolutely right. You see, and we could do a whole thing on that. You begin to see now why these mystery schools and these spiritual traditions became so expansive, why the canons of instruction that were generated start becoming so many of them, so many scriptures, so many sutras, because this is sogayi, this is deep knowledge. This ain't the little stuff. This ain't like knowing your social security now. That little stuff. Are you with me? This is deep knowledge, you see? So deep that even great intellects like Pythagoras, they wouldn't even let Pythagoras in. They made Pythagoras wait 20 years. Say, this stuff too deep for you Greeks. You know what I mean? Y'all children. Follow me? This is Pythagoras. This is Sogai. You see? Deep. Very deep. Very deep. So all of what I'm saying, you'll find a lot of this is in a lot of the Buddhist scriptures. The Prajna Paramita Heradaya Sutta. Buddha goes into all of this. You see? I'm just sharing from different traditions so that you understand. Ain't no one group got the corner on none of this. You follow what I'm saying? It's all over the place. You just gotta have eyes to see. Actually, it's right in front of you. See, if you constantly read any scripture, what they're describing to you is your own experience that you're not even paying attention to. Right? So they got to come and tell us y'all dying because we don't know. I don't feel like I'm dying. Y'all dying. Y'all got eyes you can't see. You got ears you can't. You out of touch. You're not seeing it. Go look. See. See. The ancients talked about that third eye, that eye of Heru. Right. The Hindus, that tisrati, that gives you the ability to see what these two can't see. It gives you the ability to see. There is no oasis out in this desert. Don't follow what your eyes see. Follow? Third eye has to get up. You see, there's a different levels of quality of mind. I mean, it's a lot of stuff. You all did very good. Excellent. Excellent. Sometimes getting this kind of introductory background information is the most difficult part. Everybody haven't really had an opportunity or freedom to really ponder these things. You see, because we're on the move all the time, right? As you were talking about our food and stuff. Well, the reason we can't pay attention is we're on the move all the time. Involved in trivia, you know what I mean? Just distract. No time to reflect. If you look at these great civilizations, these folks had time to reflect. So that Nile River flooding, right? So in 6 months, they got all the food they need a whole year. They kick back, look at the stars. You pull astronomy out of thin air. You pull math out of thin air. They have time to look at nature and develop our agriculture. Now we don't have to chase animals. We know how to grow food. They had time to kick back, to chill. Not at the club. Don't get this twisted. But to chill and observe and pay attention and became the progenitors of profound wisdom. Profound knowledge. And not just in ancient Kemet, you know, and ancient Mesoamerica, you see? The Olmec, the Mayans, the Aztec guys, you see? High wisdom, you see? High wisdom, even in Europe in some parts, you know what I mean? So Europe wasn't simply bereft of the spiritual tradition, it just didn't take ground, it didn't catch a fire, but it was there too. It's our knowledge. So it's really an endless thing. Now, let's keep moving right along here because sooner or later you guys got to leave the safety of sanctuary here, get out there and try to hope that a bus don't hit you. But if it do, I've done my part. You can't blame me. Let's talk about dying with grace and dignity. Then we'll have a little time for open discussion because I want to learn something here too. You know what I mean? This is a two-way street. So I don't charge a fee for these kind of things because my payment is you share your knowledge with me. I'm here to learn. Dying with grace and dignity. So let's contrast the two. What's without dignity versus with? What's the difference? Look at some of this. I mean, have you ever considered what kind of death do you want to have? Go ponder that. Go ponder that. What kind of death do you want to have? I know what kind of money you want to make, what kind of car you want to drive, what kind of house you want to live in. Follow? Okay. What kind of death do you want? How do you want to die? Because you're going to die, right? Because we talk about how I want to live, right? Is right? I want to live like this. Okay, good. You got one part down. What about the other part, how you want to die? And what is the relationship with how you want to live with how you want to die? Will the way you live it necessarily result in the way that you would die? A peaceful death or what? Let's have some conversation about it. We have to enjoy the distinction. So, how is it? Yes.
I don't want to die with a lot of grievances and unresolved things within myself, nor toward other people.
Okay. You don't want to die with, what you said, a lot of regret?
Yeah.
Resentment?
None of that.
Yeah, I like that. Yes, ma'am, and then yes, ma'am.
In my sleep peacefully?
You want to die in your sleep peacefully? You've been watching a lot of TV, right? Let's just say peaceful, right? Because the real deal is that you can die peacefully when the bus hits you. If you understand and protect yourself. So peaceful death is not necessarily something that'll happen in your sleep. Are you with me? Because you don't know if you're going to die in your sleep. So you got to find out a way to have a peaceful death, whether you die a natural death, whether you die from an accident, a plane crash, or a bus hit you, or somebody murdered you, right?
I would like it quick.
Not gonna be quick, right? So quick and peaceful. Yes, ma'am.
I think there's a perception, and she brings up a good point, that dying in your sleep is the perception of peaceful, but no one has died in their sleep to come back and tell us that they were in pain just before they died. So we add that ourselves to be peaceful.
We created the myth about it. See? And these sages, these death rulers, sages, you see, rishis, they have a lot to say about that, because you know, near-death experiences are not a new phenomenon, right? And a lot of these guys, these yogis, knew how to induce near-death experience. For instance, you would learn how to control your breathing. We call that pranayama yoga. It's not this simplistic kind of breathing that passes the body itself off as pranayama. It was real pranayama yoga. A real discipline requires a lot of training and disciplining of this body, detoxifying and cleaning it out and so forth and so on. So once they learn how to do that, you follow me? They learn how to pull a certain amount of breath into the body, you see? And hold it. And then they'll get down in the hole for 3 days. Now, not breathing, you know, that begins to simulate the clinical death, right? And then they'll breathe and they'll come back up. And then they'll write a scripture. You see? You'll write the yoga, padika. You know? So here's what happens. Follow what I'm saying? And so forth and so on. And what happens, again, is a very interesting thing. Because remember, we didn't get a chance to get to the other Bados, right? All this time I've been talking to you is what happens in the Bado of natural life and the Bado of dying. We have not talked about the Bado of afterlife. Are you with me? That's another thing. And there is a Bado after your life, after death. Because what happens is that when all of these 5 elements that makes up your gross bodily and mental being, when they start dissolving, what they're really doing that they are unfolding back into your original condition. Back into your original condition. What it is, you have the understanding of involution and evolution, right? So your true state, right, begins to unfold down into the gross level, right? At death, it reverses that direction. It mimics the breath. You know how the breath goes out, then come back in? It'll only go 12 fingers or so out, and then it will turn around automatically. You follow me? So this body only going to be here for so long, and then it reverses the direction, right? And you start moving back towards your original condition, you see? So after death, there is the experience of your true and original condition. We have a Buddhist here. In Buddhism, I believe they call it your Rikpa, the Dharmata, right? Original, undifferentiated existence, undifferentiated energy, consciousness, life, etc., etc. You see, without all of this other stuff added on. There's no mind for thinking, there's no emotions, no ego, none of that. All of this is stripped away. In some tradition, they said, therefore, this is the empty state. But by empty, they mean it's the potential state, it's your original state, right? So, but what happens if you have not practiced this dying process? When death happens, you won't see this part of this gap. This is the gap between death and rebirth. You won't be there because you're not conscious. You develop no awareness. There's no subtlety of awareness. You have not practiced noticing. You see? So you miss it. All together. You see? You go into oblivion. Are you with me? Into oblivion. And the opportunity to become identified with your true self disappears. Right? Because how many believe that there's something in you that will persist after the death of this body? How many have that intuitive? So, right. So, if that is true, you are already that right now, by definition, right? Right? Are you patronizing me, or is that right?
That's true.
You're already that right now, necessarily, in order for it to be there after the dropping away of this body-mind.
Right.
What is that? Who is that? Is that your personality? No? No? You sure? You can cross that off. Is it your gender?
No.
Does it have anything to do with your body? No. So we wipe all that out because the body, by definition, is not there. Right? Right. So what is that?
Electricity.
Electricity. All right. I got you. But what you said is energy. Energy. Self-aware, self-conscious energy. Formless energy. You see? And when it unfolds itself down into the 5 elements in the form of water, it becomes capable of taking any form, because that's what water does. Water can take any form. Right? Yeah. So that takes many forms. People, animal, trees, bread. Probably can take any form. It takes all the forms. You see? But when you reverse the direction, it becomes formless. So you're something that's kind of formless, right? All right, well, that's one. I'm ready to go. I'm done today. One guy got it. Right? In Hinduism, we say, Tattvamatsi. Tao is that. Tao. That is Tao. The ancient Egyptians said, Mukasa. I am just this pure, undifferentiated, formless consciousness itself. Now, I say we're getting very deep now. You see my point? Now we're getting very, very deep. So what happened is that at the moment of death, if you have practiced, when all of this other not self material that you identify with falls away, you'll get a glimpse of your true nature, your true self, that you already intuitively know survived this body. You already believe that. It is so. You know it intuitively. You see? Because even if I say you're going to die, there's something in you that can't get with that. Because there's something deep in you that feels it ain't going to die. Right? But it's not you, the body. Are you with me? It's you which beyond the body. And that has to become something that you identify with. Now, when you assimilate this process in meditation, you become identified with that, right? So now it's no problem wearing this body. It's just like you got on these clothes, you know you ain't this damn jacket, right? I mean, y'all know that, right? You ain't these shoes, right? Right? There's no problem. You're not misidentified. You're not confusing who you are with what you're wearing, right? You don't confuse consciousness with that which it has embodied itself. Right? This is the body. You're in the body. You're embodied. You are that which is embodied in the body. And that changes everything. Now, this is a little deeper than I intended to go, because normally these kind of conversations I try to present to people who are serious spiritual practitioners, and I don't want to bore you with a lot of this stuff, you know. but since there's a few who identify themselves as spiritual practitioners in the room, I thought we should say something at least for them, so that they don't go all together. Because, you know, they go for all this kind of talk, you know what I mean? But certainly, you have a good intuition, beloved, that you are something like electricity, energy, light, formlessness. It's very deep, you see. So when things start happening, the body fall away. You know it's not happening to me. Yeah, the body fall away, yes. You see, the clothes get old, they're gonna get raggedy, but ain't nothing happening to me. So you don't panic. There's no fear. And remember, you can't have peace of mind if you're full of fear, right? How you gonna have peace of mind? You're scared. You're scared for this to drop. So how would you have peace of mind? Because when it starts dropping, your fear will overtake you. Because you identify with this. Are you following my argument? So no peace of mind for you. Follow? It's like that, or something like that, not exactly. So what are some of these signs of, again, we started off with dying with dignity. I want to get through this a little bit more, and then then you all gonna give me my feet by teaching me something. Now, I've already broached the subject, meditation. Meditation, I dare suggest, is one of the only authentic means by which you will be able to have a death full of dignity and peace. Now, I'm open for debate about that because some of you may find other ways, you see. Maybe if I drink a fifth of alcohol, I'd go out with that. I mean, it's possible, I don't know. But I mean, if you found to have a suggestion, I'm open, you see. Should you do a line of quote as you go out? You see, I had a guy that was visiting his girlfriend. He was there on the couch dying. She was taking care of him. And, you know, they had him hooked up to the oxygen. He was on his way out. And the last thing he said, give me a square. I guess it was peaceful. I don't know. You planning on, how many planning on trying to have a peaceful death? Okay, tell me how you gonna do that? What's your idea? Give me your strategy. Let's bring storming. You know what I mean? Together. You know what I mean?
You can start off living like she said, but like you can start off living a peaceful life. If you, somebody had mentioned, you know, she wants to try to get rid of no bitterness and all that. If you rid yourself of all this bitterness or work on it now, like I'm 50, 60. If I'm working on this now because I know this is what kept me back or slowed me down or kept me sleepy all the time. If I work on all this bitterness, hatred, anger, and fear, by the time at some point, I'm going to be at peace.
I like that. I like that. You see, that's so guiding. It's in you. It's natural. Right. It's intuitive. You don't have to read a book to know that. Right? But strangely enough, any book you read that talks about what is required for that has all of the things or most of the things you just mentioned. But they say the first thing.
You know, we've noticed that in some of the deceased that we pick up. That's what led me to this because some of them that die a traumatic death become tense.
Yeah.
Those who are very peaceful in themselves come in. We don't have to do anything but just preserve them.
Right, right.
But if we want to transform another look, sometimes they've been very bitter.
Very hard. Muscles get frozen. Now these are called the negative states of mind and emotions. Anger, right? Lust, greed, attachment, vanity, ego. These are different, but you can add all kinds of things here. Fear, jealousy, hatred. You know, these are called clutches. They defile the mind. Are you with me? So when your mind is full of anger, lust, greed, attachment, vanity, it creates a turbulence. Because see, a peace of mind is a quiet mind. You know. You can't have peace of mind without a quiet mind. But you can't have a quiet mind if you get all of this, because you're angry. And that's all you think about is who you angry at and what somebody done did to you. You go to bed with that shit. Are you with me? Wake up with it on your mind. You see, every 12 seconds you angry about this, you angry about that. You angry at the weather. You angry at the people. You just angry all the time. Your mind is just always in a flux, a turmoil. You can't have no peace. True?
Like a take a time out.
So the scripture said, manage this anger, transform it. We call that transformation of these negative states of mind. We call that tantra. Tantra, because it's transformation of energy. See that same energy that makes up anger? On the opposite end, that's love. Transform your anger into love, and you have peace of mind. You understand? But you can't walk around here full of all this anger, thinking that you're going to have some like peace of mind for the first 59 years, and then at 60 die peace of mind. That ain't happening. We call that self-delusion. You're deluded. You follow me? You're not in touch with reality. You wishful thinking. You're still 7 years old. Are you with me? Something in you have not grown up. You're operating out of a state of profound ignorance. Can't have lust. You see? Sensual desires. Follow what I'm saying? Can't do it, because lust is always this craving. You see? Craving. And you're craving for something you don't have now. You see? Craving. I need to get this, I need to get that. And then when you get it, you never get what you wanted it for. Because your lust is a function of your desires. Desires are a purely mental phenomenon. This is so naive. This is got better, as the Buddha called it. Right. Because desires are not really purposed or connected to the fulfillment of any need. So you're constantly out there, craving, and never becoming satisfied. Are you with me? Because you say, well, let me get married and I'll be satisfied. Okay, that lasts for 6 months. Now let me get divorced and I'll be satisfied. You know what I mean? And this is how it goes. You follow me? Let me have some kids and I'll be happy. Okay, get the kids, and then when they turn 14, how to get rid of the kids. These are not real needs. Now here's the distinction, and this is just an analogy, so you have to take some of this lightly here, but analogy is one of the only way I can articulate it. But let's say like this is water, right? I'm thirsty, you're thirsty, right? We take this water. We're not thirsty no more, provided you drink enough of it to satiate the thirst, right? That's the end of that, right? Now, contrast that with, I want to get me the newest Mercedes-Benz, and you go get it, right? How long are you going to be satisfied? Till you get the first car note. Now I got to give me a garage to park the damn thing. If I can park my Mercedes up in this parking lot with all these crazy people in the apartment, I'm going to give me a part of the garage. I mean, you see how it goes on? So you know when you are operating out of a false need, that's what a desire is. Because even when you get it, you never get the satisfaction you were seeking. You off the track and you run it again. That's lust, right? That's lust, the pursuit of a false need created entirely in your mind.
That's not a false.
Really? Yeah, because it's your imagination. You imagine that if you got that, you will be fulfilled and satisfied. You're imagining it. You see, you're not imagining the water. You're drinking the water. There's not an action going on in your imagination somewhere. You follow me? It's not a real need. And that's why you fulfill one desire, another one pops up. Am I right about it?
Yes.
Another one pops up. This is how it goes. Right? There's only so much water you can drink. And if you're that stupid, your bladder, your body has a defense system against your stupidity. It fills the bladder up and you start pissing all over yourself. Body ain't stupid. It ain't gonna let you bust this bladder. Just stupid. There's only so much food you can eat. If you try to go past that, the body shuts down. You know what I mean? And then you just... You understand what I'm saying? The body has its own intelligence. Yes, sir.
You know, the gentleman that just shared, and I agree wholeheartedly with him. Personally, I have this belief, and it's if I'm positive, productive, happy, joyous, and free, and I bring good things to life, and I manage my emotions, that my transition will be smooth.
Yeah, it will be.
And my life is complete.
Yeah,
I'm happy.
No, you're
I
right.
desire things that are reasonably attainable, right? But you hit me with something when you talked about as we get older and the liquidity diminishes and the thoughts start to run, right? Most of the time I'm very peaceful and I control my thoughts. Or I lock them into a lane, okay? I have a desire, and I don't know if it's centered in reality, okay? Help me with this if you will.
All right.
Oh, I'm like maybe 5 classes short of a master's. I don't want to do the other 5 classes. I don't see where it's a benefit to me. However, I am making preparations to go to law school. And I've looked at this, like, I don't like to discipline my mind to stay focused on nothing. I don't even know if I still can. I don't see the need.
But see, here's the thing. We have patterns. Like you got physical habits.
Yes.
You got psychological and emotional habits.
Right.
They are patterns. We call them vasanas. These are patterns. Right? So something you've been doing for a long time, it got momentum. It's like a fan plugged into a wall. When I take the cord off, the blaze keeps going, right? Because you have programmed yourself, you habituated yourself. So even when you don't want to do it, the body-mind still goes and do it because you have no control over your body-mind.
Right. Well, I don't quite.
Well, I mean, not quite, but you understand what I'm saying,
Yeah, I do.
right? It's that pattern, that's that groove, what we call conditioning. Are you with me?
Absolutely.
Right.
My anthem is stay in your lane.
All right.
Stay in your lane. You need to identify what your lane is and stay in it.
Yeah, that's true. But you know, here's what is interesting. Because those kind of statements are predicated on some kind of a mythical independence that we're enjoying, as if we're separate.
Well, I don't quite agree with that to this degree.
I mean, think about it. Now, that if you're talking about tolerance and patience, that's another thing. Are you with me? Because tolerance and patience is what gives you the ability to not interfere and try to co-opt other people's lives and make them fit in with your ideas. That's tolerance. That's patience. Those are positive qualities. So if you live the life with patience, with tolerance, and the tradition we call those the these, 6 of them. Are you with me? Man, I wish I had more time because your question is very insightful. You see, because like me, you're older. You see, we're going to go here now, right? And so if you don't have that kind of tolerance and patience when you enter into the dying process, you're going to have a hard time. You know what I mean? Because you're going to need tolerance, patience, discipline, emotional resiliency, slow to anger. Are you with me?
I absolutely am, because you brought forth the scripture that it's kind of like the cornerstone of my existence. When he talked about teach me to apply my part to wisdom that I may bear by number of my
Yeah.
days.
Yeah.
And my best friend, who happens to be my first cousin, we sit and we number our days, and
Yeah.
you know, it's like we strive to have a peaceful, productive existence.
Yes.
Anything that complicates that must be shed immediately.
Absolutely. You see what you're doing, you see, over the course of your lifetime, beloved, naturally, you have grown in your wisdom. You probably didn't understand that in some earlier stages in your life, but as you got older, you've understood something very profound. That's why that scripture struck. Teach us, O Lord, the number of our days, so that we may develop a heart of wisdom. See, that's wisdom. What is the wisdom? The wisdom knowing that you only have a number of days here. You don't have forever. It's the death and burial. You're on the way out of it. Therefore, don't waste your life feeling angry. See, it's very specific. You see, it's not like I said, don't go to Walmart. No. It said, don't be angry. Don't be full of lust. Don't be full of greed. Learn how to be content. You see, because see, if you don't have the ability to be content, you follow me? You won't have it. Even if you get $1 million, you won't be content because you don't have the ability to be content. You follow me? You are suffering from greed, the inability to be content, the inability to be at peace. Are you with me? It's a spiritual deficit. Are you with me?
Absolutely.
These negative states of mind are our spiritual deficit disorders that show up at the level of our psychology, our emotions, and then our behavior and the way we're doing our life. Because you're full of this stuff. These are the defilements. This is what they mean when they say you must purify your mind. Every tradition says that. Not suppress it. See, we have a wrong understanding. You try to suppress your anger and make that substitute for the transformation of it. That don't work. You try to suppress your love, right? Particularly sexually, you understand? And then you become a pervert. Are you with me? Really, seriously. I mean, you become addicted to artificial forms of self-gratification because you suppress it. You ain't managing it. So it's a very deep discussion, but the point I was coming to was that when we talk about dying with a peace of mind, first, your mind got to already be peaceful before you die. Absolutely. It doesn't become peaceful after you die. It must be peaceful when you die. And as you are dying, and as you are living. See, so it starts first with as you are living. Then that will be as you will die. And then that will be as you will be with death and afterlife. Because that's core stuff. See, so it's no trickery here.
No,
this is work. Now this work is called sadhana. This is the spiritual process. Sadhana. You must do sadhana. You see? Meditation is a part of sadhana. There's many others. Dietary practices, so forth and so on. You definitely got to be moral. Are you with me? How would you be able to be peaceful and you're not moral? You're not even an ethical. You're not even a good human being. Come on, who we kidding? You follow what I'm saying? Now, the other one is vanity, right? Ego, because this is a big one. These others are easy to see because they're so gross. This ego, vanity, is very subtle. Because what we do, when you're a vain person, you arrogate to yourself qualities and characteristics and virtues that in reality you don't even possess. So you say, well, I'm a peaceful brother and I get along well with people. Well, you done had 4 wives, man. One of them wouldn't stand your ass. What are you talking about? Where's the evidence? There's no evidence. It's propaganda. It's armchair stuff. Are you with me? That's delusional. That's what we mean by self-delusion. You are arrogating to yourself qualities and virtues that in reality you do not possess. You see, that's delusion. And that's what ego and vanity always produces. We become delusional. Now we say, I'm always honest, but let me find a wallet with $1,000 in it and see how honest I'm going to be. You follow what I'm saying? It ain't like that. So this process of the purification of the mind of all of its pleasures and defilements for the sake of being able to become free of all the turbulence of your thinking,
that takes everything of a man and a woman. That's the real deal. That's the dying part. You see? That's the dying part. You must be willing to die for the sake of living. Die to yourself. You must say no to your selfishness, right? And that's the real deal. You
And
see?
it's a full-time job.
It's a moment-to-moment job.
24/7.
24/7. And we will only make it 24/7 when we really understand. Unless I do this, then I'm going to be dealing with that reality, the dissolution of those elements, and it's going to be hell that makes Dante Inferno look like nothing. You see? And so it's a real thing. But the key thing here is you have to be honest. You have to be honest with yourself. I mean, I can stand up here and tell you all kinds of crap, right? And that's just propaganda. I can say, well, you know, I've been married for 48 years and I'm the best husband on the planet, and my wife, I treat her so. It's just propaganda. Now, if you want to know what kind of character I am, what kind of quality of husband I am, you don't ask me that stuff. Go ask my wife. Because she lives in direct interaction. You follow me? That's why they said that a man or woman who have real character, nobody will hold them in higher esteem than their spouse. The old African proverb said, if you want to measure a man's stature, go ask his wife. Don't ask him nothing. You follow what I'm saying?
I do.
Right. So it's like that. We're fathers and mothers in here, right? So I can tell you I'm a great father, I'm a great mother. That's propaganda. Go ask my children. You follow what I'm saying? Right? Go ask my children. You see? They'll tell you the truth. No, my daddy never came around. That's my baby daddy. That ain't my father. Are you with me? Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
It's like that. You see? It gets real hot. Fire. You see? Because we have to strip ourselves of all these lies we've been telling ourselves. Are you with me? We have to get straight. Get straight. Well, listen, I'm going to let you all get straight. It's 4:30. I will overstay my time, but thank you for your teachings, and I hope something was said here that sparked your enthusiasm, especially my inner life professional. You know what I mean? There's going to be 75 million of us dropping dead in the next 10 years, right? So I got to come by you. Are you with me? And my family got to come by you. And I want to make sure y'all take care of them as well as you take care of me. And with that said, good evening. I gotta go.